Hi class, in this video I am going to go over the instructions for the profile essay. I am also going to talk a little bit more about profile essays and of course go over how you should organize your essay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and read the instructions. So once you read the instructions, it'll let you know how many points the essay is worth, which is 50 points, and then it'll also let you know that the essay should be about 2 to 3 pages double spaced, which is the equivalent of about 700 to 1,000 words. So, in a nutshell, a profile essay is a written portrait, and it can focus on a lot of things such as people, places, events, but for this essay we are going to focus on a place in the El Paso, Texas border. Now, one of the things that you want to take into consideration whenever you are selecting a topic is that you should pick a place that is pretty well known, but also a place that is significant to this border area. Now, of course, something being significant to a place, to a city, is very subjective, right? So it's up to you in the essay to show its significance. So, for example, if you choose something like the McGoffin House, right? Some people might not think that's a very significant place in El Paso, but through your profile essay, depending on how you describe it, you can show the significance of this place. So it's very important that you pick a place that you are pretty familiar with. Now, I know some of you are not actually in this area. Some of you live out of town or out of the country. That is fine. Whenever you are writing this essay, what you want to do is you want to conduct an online search. So, for example, if you decide to write about the Plaza Theater, you can go ahead and do a Google search and find out as much information as you can about this place, its history, and you also want to go ahead and do a Google image search so that you can actually look at pictures. Because with a profile essay, you do have to describe the appearance of a place. So it is very important that you look at the place and try to describe the color, what it looks like, what you smell when you're there, noises you hear when you're there. Now, I know that for a lot of you, obviously, if you are out of town or out of the country, you can't really provide that type of detail like smells and sounds, and I understand that. But as long as you describe its appearance pretty well, you should be fine. So, like I said, if you don't live in the country or in the city, or if El Paso is just too far for you to travel, that is fine. All you need to do is conduct online research, and also, of course, do an image search so that you can get a good look at the place. And of course, any sources you use or any images you consult, um, well, the images don't have to be cited, but the sources you consult should be cited in your reference page. So, moving on, one of the things you want to know is that a profile, like I said, is a written portrait, but it also presents the place in a very interesting way. So you're not just going to describe a building, you're going to basically describe it in a way to show why the building is special or to show a specific angle about that building. For example, if we were to write a profile essay on the Cathedral of Notre Dame, you could choose various angles. For example, one angle could be that it is a place where people go to find hope and faith. Or another angle could be that it is a place that has withstood the test of time and it is still standing. So it is a symbol of perseverance. So if that's your angle, then you would describe the place to convey that idea that the Cathedral of Notre Dame has stood the test of time and has weathered so many tragic events and natural disasters and recently fires, but yet it's still standing. So that would be your angle. For example, if you look at the Chamizal National Memorial, that happens to be located in a park. So maybe your angle is you want to show how this place is significant because it brings two countries together. If that's the case, then your description would mostly focus on describing the place, but also how it unifies two countries. So, like I said, you're describing the place, but you're also showing its significance. Now, it's not a matter of just telling us, well, this place is significant because it's important. You want to tell us, you want to show us its significance. So, pretend that the person you are writing this for has never been to that place. So, you want to give them not only a good description, but you want to give them a good feel for the place, right? So, please keep this in mind what I say right here. A profile does not tell us about a place, it shows us something interesting about the subject. So, again, with this essay, what you're doing is a lot of showing us. So, you're not telling us why this place is special, you're showing us why this place is special. So, I did go ahead and I provided some topics. However, you don't have to write about one of these. You can go ahead and choose any place you feel is significant to the border area. I just went ahead and I threw some ideas out there. Now, one of the things, like I mentioned already, is you want to pick a place that you are somewhat familiar with, any place that you can possibly visit, because your profile essay should use a lot of sensory detail. So, also, I do have to mention this again. Please don't trespass a place or break into any places or go into places that the people are not allowed into. Um, please keep laws and safety in mind at all times. And you will need a minimum of one outside source, and this source should be cited using APA style. It should be cited in the text and in the reference page as well. So I do have some sources that I went ahead and I provided for you. The first one is this one, writing a profile essay. So basically what I do here is I provide some basic information, and I also talk about the purpose of a profile essay. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind when you're writing your profile is the audience. You don't want to assume that your audience already knows what you're talking about, but you also don't want to assume that they don't know anything about the place. So it's always best to try to describe the place as detailed as possible. But of course, you don't have to provide details like El Paso is located in Texas. We already know that. So information like that you do not have to include. However, any other information regarding the appearance of a place, go ahead and be as detailed as possible. And it's also important to note what the source says right here. It mentions that a profile is not just reading about the place, that it should be more interesting than an encyclopedia. So you are not doing a report on a place, you are describing a place so that we can see how important this place is, but also it should be interesting to us. So you definitely want to go ahead and focus on the interesting aspects of the place you are talking about, right? Because again, it should be interesting for your audience to read. So that should be one of the first things you should think about as you're picking a place. Is it intriguing and is it interesting? Also, you have to think about, can I provide a vivid presentation of this place? So if it's a place that you really can't describe, then it's probably not a good topic, right? So you want to go ahead and describe a place using sensory imagery, which basically means that it appeals to all of our senses: sight, hearing, smell. Uh, so anything that you hear, see, smell in these places, definitely go ahead and describe. Also use figurative language. That way we can basically feel like we are there. That's one of the purposes of this essay, is to feel as if you are there. And of course, like I was saying earlier, you want the place to have a dominant impression or an angle. So it really depends on what you want people to take away from this place. Do you want them to see this place as a fun place that takes people away from their regular lives? Or do you want to see do you want your audience to see this place as a place of unity, a place of entertainment? So think about the dominant impression or angle that you want your audience to focus on. And also, you want to go ahead and provide interesting details to keep the reader's attention. So it's very important that you don't just describe the place at the beginning and then the rest is just a report. You want to make sure that you spread out the descriptive details and things like that so that the entire profile is interesting. So now we are going to look at how to organize your outline. So to organize your outline, all you have to do is basically start off with background information in your introduction. So in the background information, what you can include is when was this place built and what is it used for. Also, you want to introduce the angle. How are you going to portray this place? Will you be focusing on the historical, social, cultural, or architectural aspect of the place? So again, if you're focusing on this place being a source of entertainment, then obviously you're focusing on the social. If you're going to talk more about its history, if you want people to see this for its historical significance, then obviously you're focusing on the historical. And then your introduction should also have a thesis. I went ahead and I provided a sample thesis for you to um, see and so that you could understand what I am looking for. So my sample thesis is, although its Spanish mission style architecture stands out from the rest of the downtown buildings, the Plaza Theater does more than entertain. It brings people together. So basically, if I was writing about the Plaza Theater, I'm not going to focus on it being a source of entertainment. According to this thesis, I am going to focus on how it brings people together. So as I'm describing the place throughout my essay, I would really try to emphasize that it's a place where people come together. It's a place where families come and enjoy themselves. It's a place where people bring their kids, their grandparents. So basically, as I describe it, I would keep this in mind so that I can really emphasize the bringing people together part. Now, after your introduction, you want to provide some history of the place. What's the history of the place? How has the place evolved? Now, if the place is fairly new, like let's say you're writing about um, the Southwest University Stadium, obviously that place is only a few years old, so the place hasn't really evolved that much, but you can definitely talk about the history of the place and you can also talk about what used to be there before they built that stadium. Then, after you've done the history section, you can go ahead and move on to the description. So the description part will actually consist or make up most of your essay. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I have 4 parts here, but this doesn't mean that your essay needs to be 4 paragraphs. This is divided up into sections. So the introduction can be 1 paragraph. Depending on your topic, the history section could be 2 paragraphs if you need to. Describing your essay can be 3 paragraphs, and then the conclusion can be 1 paragraph. So really, it just depends on your place because some places have more history than others. So you might need 3 paragraphs to fully convey the history of the place. So please keep this in mind that I'm not saying this has to be 4 paragraphs. I'm saying that you should at least cover these 4 sections in your essay. So moving on, when you're describing the place, make sure you address what does it look like, what sounds do you hear, what smells are present, what type of activity goes on in this place, and what emotion does this place evoke. That's one of the things that a profile essay should do is that it should convey some sort of feeling about this place, right? So again, what do you want your audience to get from this place? Like, what's the impression you want to make about this place? But also, what do you want your audience to feel about this place? So once you've described the place and discussed its history, the last part is the conclusion. Now the conclusion is very important because in the conclusion is where you will tell your audience why this place is significant to the El Paso, Texas border area. So again, this is where you really make your point and let the audience know why this place is important to the border. And also in your conclusion, make sure that you address how does this place shape the border area and or its people. So again, what is it about this place that reflects the people or the culture, or how does it shape people in this border town? So I hope this was helpful. I know that Some of you might be farther along in your essay than others, but if you have any questions, please let me know. I will be glad to help you. Also, don't forget that you can submit this essay for tutoring. If you are interested in doing online tutoring, please email me so that I can add you to the Innovative Online Tutoring Canvas page. Or if you'd rather go to the ARC in person, every single campus has an ARC center, so you can just go there and get help with your essay. Now, if you do go to the ARC, then one of the things you want to do is you want to go ahead and fill out the summary of tutoring form. And you can actually find that if you go to modules, and it's under the extra credit module. So it's right here. It's the summary of tutoring form. So you have to fill this out, not the tutor. So all you need to do is go to the tutoring center, get the tutor's name, have them review your paper, and then you fill out this form. Make sure that you download it first and then you fill out this form. So basically write down the name of the tutor, the date of the tutoring session, what questions you had for the tutor, what feedback did they provide, and then right here, tell me if they made any comments about these areas. If they didn't make a comment about your thesis statement, then just put an A. If they didn't say anything about your paragraph structure, then put an A. So after you've downloaded this handout and filled it out, submit it along with your essay and you will get 5 points extra credit on your essay. So definitely something to consider about. This extra credit option for tutoring applies to all of the other essays, including the editorial and the research paper. So please take advantage of that because going to the tutoring center is often very, very helpful. So like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know.